We've got a really fun night planned for you.
Hey Rachel, did you ever think about what it would be like if we were all quarantined in the church?
Honestly, Ethan, I haven't.
Well, lucky for you, I have. And we came up with a video, so you guys should go check it out.
Hi, welcome to Rivers Crossing. What would you like to... Do you have a junior high school student that you'd like to drop over? There's nobody here.
What are you doing?
I'm setting up for tribes.
We're in quarantine, right?
You never know when they're coming back. We gotta be ready. What if there's a student ready to come back right now? What if they live quarantined? Hey, Ethan, I'm ordering lunch. What do you want?
I'll have a ham sandwich with cheese.
That's weird, but okay.
And he said, "You without sin shall cast the first stone." Did you hear that, Gerald? Without sin. Mr. Snuffles, are you paying attention or are you on TikTok?
Are you gonna help me set up for Christmas?
It's May.
I don't care.
It's like not even close to Christmas time.
We need to start planning now.
All right. Jackson, what are you doing, buddy?
Joel, get off. We need
I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. I think about it every night and day.
What's in the package? Are they my mini ears?
I don't know.
Okay. Would you want to open it with me?
No.
We're gonna open it together? No.
All by myself. Don't wanna be all by myself
Hello?
anymore.
Hey, what are you doing?
Just want to see.
You're gonna sing soon. It's okay. Here, give me the pack of my... Yep. You don't need these right now, okay? They're very dangerous. Have you Lysol these?
All by myself. Don't wanna be all by myself anymore.
Wow, that was really intriguing, but I'm very thankful that we're not stuck in the church because I do like sleeping in my own bed at night.
Oh, me too. So, Pastor Peter has an amazing message planned for us for week 2 of the series, Who is Jesus? Let's go on to the venue and check it out.
What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning into the live stream. Welcome. We're so glad that you're here. I actually have some friends here with me today. We brought you some friends. You're here. Let us know how you're doing in the chat. And to get us started, I want to ask you a question. Have you ever collected something that you're totally obsessed with? Like something that you collected, not just a little bit, but it's something you poured a lot of money into. I'm going to ask my friends here in a second, but I know for me, growing up as a kid, I collected like action figures. I had X-Men, I had DC, I had Marvel, Spider-Man and Wolverine were my favorite characters growing up, and I had all of their toys. So put in the chat, what is something that you obsessed with collecting when you were growing up? And I'm going to ask my friends that. Guys, have you guys collected anything that you've obsessed with? We're going to start over here. Katie, talk to me. What did you collect growing up that maybe you obsessed with for a little bit?
Well, in second grade, I collected pencil lead with my friends.
Pencil lead with your friends?
Yeah, it was very strange.
And then you collected it, and what did you guys do with it? Do you recall, or?
Yeah, we would put them in a bag and see how many pencil lead we would have. And
That
whoever
is
had the most would
crazy.
be really cool.
If anybody can beat that as far as the most wild things you've collected, I'd like to see it in the chat. Now, Rachel, talk to me. What did you collect growing up or presently that you are a little bit obsessed with?
Yeah, so I currently have a collection of mugs that's continually growing. They're all different and they're all random. Some of them have been gifted to me, some of them I've bought.
So just a ton of mugs, and you're going to put a collection today or together someday?
Yeah, someday they're all going to be hanging on a wall.
That's nice. Well, I can't wait to see those mugs. Mugs are helpful. Never underestimate the power of a mug, okay? One day you're going to be cool like Rachel. Now, Ethan, talk to me. What is something that you collected maybe as a kid or presently that you're kind of obsessed with?
So my two things that I collected when I was a kid were kind of vastly different. The first one was like football cards and like sports cards, and I loved them. I had binders on binders
Yes.
of cards, and it was awesome. I had a ton of cards from like my cousins and stuff, so like a little bit of throwback, a little bit of new.
Oh,
And
yeah.
The other thing is I collected was rocks. So they're kind of like totally different, but I was so fascinated with like how many different types of rocks there were. So.
I loved collecting rocks too. So it must be a guy thing. I don't know.
Maybe.
But I used to love to collect rocks too. I almost felt like I was a paleontologist or something.
Yeah.
So awesome. Joel, did you collect anything as a kid that you kind of obsessed with?
Well, I didn't have any pet rocks, but I did have G.I. Joes.
G.I.
Yeah,
Joes,
so
yes.
I was kind of in the same boat as you. I would always take my G.I. Joes wherever I went. So that was pretty much it for me.
Yes, G.I. Joes had tons of them. There's so many good G.I. Joes, so many good action figures. I had those too. But I also collected, like Ethan said, I collected sports cards. This is just one of many books that I have that I collected as a kid. And it wasn't just like a little collection. I spent tons of my parents' hard-earned money on these cards because me and my friends would have trading parties, and of course I'd have to get as many cards as I possibly could to build my collection up. And when Kobe passed a couple months ago, that was super unfortunate. He was an incredible player, but I ended up breaking out my collection because I just wanted to look back and see what cards I had. I was looking over it with my boys, and I came across some Michael Jordan cards. I noticed that he was at the front of my book, and I was so pumped to find these cards. So my boys were watching it with me and looking over all my cards, and they asked me, "Dad, can I have a Michael Jordan card?" So, as a loving, kind dad, what did I say? Well, I said yes, of course, even though I was like still feeling the urge of like, I can't just give Michael Jordan away. I mean, I need to trade for these or something. But I gave them a couple Michael Jordan cards. And my boys, my one who's in second grade, Gray, he actually takes cards to school, and sometimes they trade during lunch or at recess. So I was so pumped because he's going to school. He was excited. I was excited because he's going to school with a Michael Jordan OG card back from the 90s. Now, let me ask you this. How many of those are going around at your schools this past school year? I don't think very many. So I was excited. So he gets the card, and he goes to school. I drop him off, and I picked him up at the end of the day. He got back in the car, and I couldn't wait to ask him how it went because I know that he'll probably go and see what he can get for it or trade his friends with it. So I said, "Gray, how did it go with Michael Jordan today?" And he said, Well, this is what my friend said. And, in my mind, he was going to be like, that's incredible. A Michael Jordan card? Are you kidding me? How is this even available? Where did you get this? How much is this worth? Those are the thoughts that I'm thinking in his head that he's going to say. You will not believe what my son's friend said to him when he showed him the Michael Jordan card in my book. He said this. He said, that's not Michael Jordan. And I thought, wait, you're messing with me, Gray, right? You're messing with me. How could he possibly say that's not Michael Jordan when it's clearly a Chicago Bulls card? It's clearly Michael Jordan's face, number 23, in a Bulls jersey. Is this kid, was he messing with you or what? How could he possibly say that's not Michael Jordan? I was just blown away, but he's like, Dad, I'm not messing with you. That's what he said. I was like, what? I was ready to pull out my own hair. It was crazy. I couldn't believe that was his response when I sent a hard-earned OG Michael Jordan card to school with Gray. Now, I share that story with you because we're in the middle of a series called Who is Jesus? And this is the most important question that I could ever, as your youth pastor, leave you with, because one day, school's going to be done. These seniors, congratulations, seniors. I know this year didn't end as you expected, but now your school year's done. You're moving on. One day, you're going to graduate high school. And if you don't know the answer to the question, who is Jesus, then what I want to prepare you for is one day your faith is going to be challenged. What is going to happen in your faith when someone says this to you? I don't believe in Jesus. He never existed. God doesn't exist. God's not real. In the same way that friend of my son's saw Michael Jordan's card and he said, that's not Michael Jordan. Gray couldn't understand it either. It didn't make any sense. So what is going to happen when your faith is tested one day? When someone says, I don't believe in Jesus, I don't believe in God. That's why this series is so incredibly important, because not only do I want to make sure that your faith is fully placed in who Jesus is, but you need to know who Jesus is completely and fully, place your faith in him, so that I believe through this series you can grow, and then your faith will be ready for one day when it's tested, that it's going to stand the test of when it gets questioned. Because I don't know how old you are. Maybe you're in middle school, high school. Maybe you're in college. Maybe you're a young adult. At some point in time, your faith is going to be tested. So will your faith stand the test? That's what this series is all about. So as we continue to answer the question, who is Jesus? It's the most important question we'll ever ask. And I want you to check out this video as we continue on in this series. Check this video out.
Ever since the Christian movement began, followers of Jesus Christ have said he was God in human form. But what about Jesus himself? Who did he think he was? With the rise of textual criticism and the modern study of history, historians have developed tools to unlock this question. Today, Jesus of Nazareth is no longer just a figure in a stained glass window, but a real person of history whose life can be investigated historically. So let's examine the New Testament, not as inspired scripture, but as an ordinary collection of ancient documents. Let's apply to them the standard tests we would use with regard to any other ancient sources. When historians investigate the Jesus of history, what do they find? First, Jesus claimed to be the Messiah. The Jews of Jesus' day were waiting for a promised Messiah, a descendant of King David, a warrior king who would bring military victory and spiritual renewal to Israel. They were familiar with the prophet Zechariah's ancient words. Shout aloud, O daughter of Jerusalem, behold, your king is coming to you. Righteous and having salvation is he, humble and mounted on a donkey. Jesus' triumphal entry into Jerusalem on the back of a donkey, the final week of his life, is attested in independent sources, one of the most important criteria for the historicity of an event. In doing this, Jesus was deliberately and provocatively claiming that he was the promised Messiah, the King of Israel. Moreover, the plaque nailed to Jesus' cross stated the charge against him, in mockery of his messianic claims. The fact that later Christians did not use this derisive title for Jesus underscores its authenticity. For first-century Jews, the word Messiah was packed full of meaning. By assuming this title, Jesus was claiming all of this for himself. Jesus also claimed to be the Son of God. Jesus' consciousness of being God's Son in a unique sense comes to expression in his parable of the vineyard. This parable matches Jesus' teaching style and employs Jewish motifs typical of his day, such as Israel as a vineyard, God as a father, the religious leaders of that time as tenants, and God's prophets as servants sent to the tenants. Once there was a man who planted a vineyard. Before leaving the country, he leased it to tenants. At harvest time, he sent a servant to collect his share of the fruit of the vineyard, but the tenants beat him and sent him away empty-handed. So the owner sent more servants, but these too were beaten or killed. Finally, he sent his one and only son, saying, "Surely they'll respect my son." But those tenants said to one another, "This is the heir. Let's kill him, and the vineyard will be ours." So they killed the owner's son. What do we learn from this parable about Jesus' self-understanding? He thought of himself as the only Son of God, God's final messenger, distinct from all the prophets and even the heir of Israel itself. Third, Jesus claimed to be the Son of Man. This was Jesus' favorite self-designation, being used some 80 times in the Gospels. This has convinced the vast majority of New Testament historians that Jesus did, in fact, think of himself as the Son of Man. Notice, not just a Son of Man, but the Son of Man. Jesus was directing our attention to a vision described by the prophet Daniel. "I saw in the night visions, and behold, with the clouds of heaven, there came one like a son of man. And he came to the Ancient of Days and was presented before him. And to him was given dominion and glory and a kingdom that all peoples, nations, and languages should serve him." At Jesus' trial, the Jewish high priest accused Jesus. "Are you the Messiah, the Son of God?" His answer left no room for doubt. "I am. And you will see the Son of Man seated at the right hand of power and coming with the clouds of heaven." By applying all three of these titles to himself, Jesus was claiming in no uncertain terms that he was the very God his accusers worshipped. It's no surprise the Jewish court charged him with blasphemy and condemned him to death. But that's not all. New Testament historians are agreed that the historical Jesus also claimed to have divine power and authority to perform miracles, cast out demons, revise Old Testament law, and forgive sins. He even went so far as to claim that everyone's eternal destiny is determined solely by whether we believe in him. Jesus' self-understanding cannot be reduced to that of a Jewish teacher or a charismatic leader. No. In fact, by putting himself in God's place, Jesus was making a far greater claim about himself than anyone else ever has, before or since. So the question Jesus asked his disciples confronts each of us as well. Who do you say that I am?
Well, hey, as we wrap up, I want to leave you guys with one final question as we're really trying to understand better who is Jesus. Now, we all live in a day and age where we have these incredible, powerful things called cell phones, yes? We don't even call them cell phones. But they're basically these super powered machines in our pocket. Now, I know you don't think of it like that because honestly, it's just been the way that you've known life ever since you were young. We have these incredible machines in our pockets that we can go almost anywhere in the world at any given time, on any given day. And when you think about that power for a minute, I want you to think about how it can do a lot of good things in our life, but there's also some negative things that we're just the beneficiaries of, meaning it just kind of is available to us, and we don't always necessarily try to get these negative things, but sometimes they just happen to us. And let me give you an example of what I mean. What I mean is, have you ever maybe followed a celebrity or followed somebody that you kind of liked, or somebody that you don't really know, but not in a creepy way? You went to their Instagram, you went to their TikTok or whatever, and you started just scrolling through all their old pictures, all their old videos, and you're not trying to creep or stalk, but you kind of just stalked them, and you kept looking, and maybe you went back a year or so, 2 years or so. You don't want to like the picture because it's like 2 years old. You don't want to come across as creepy. But have you ever just, maybe gone back in time and you really, like this person, you think they're cool, and you just kind of obsessed and looked over all their stuff? I don't know about you, but I've definitely done that before with somebody, whether it's a celebrity or an athlete or something like that. And you see that something that happens when we live in such a way, because technology is so powerful, it creates what I want to call today a fake relationship effect. A fake relationship effect. And what I mean by that is, now that we've kind of stalked this person, we feel like we know them, when clearly we don't know them, and they sure don't know us. Have you ever done something like that before, just because you maybe admired somebody? I'm calling it the fake relationship effect. It's kind of just this weird thing that is a reality that you and I are all in, because we're just overloaded by how much stuff we can consume on social media, on TikTok. It's crazy to think how much you can consume just in one day on TikTok or Instagram, because it's just available to us. So the danger is when we take this fake relationship effect and approach Jesus in that way. That's where it becomes dangerous, because maybe, when we're looking at someone's pictures, we may think we know a lot about them, but again, we don't know them, and they sure don't know us. So do you see how that could be dangerous when it comes to your relationship with Jesus? Because we just watched an incredible video that taught us some amazing information about who Jesus knew that he was, and that information is super important for you and me to understand. We need to know that he's the Messiah. We need to know that he's the Son of God, and we need to know that he's the Son of Man, and we need to know why those three titles are important. But as we wrap up today, let me ask you this question. Is just knowing Jesus, knowing about him, is that the goal? Do we want to just know about Jesus? Is that the goal? Or do we want to truly know Jesus and him know us? Because you see, if we allow this fake relationship effect to affect our relationship with Jesus, then what happens is we might know a lot about Jesus, like he lived 2,000 years ago, he was a carpenter, he knew a lot about the Old Testament, he was a wise teacher. If that's all that we know about Jesus, then we don't really know who Jesus truly is, and he doesn't know us. And that's where our relationship with Christ is not extraordinary if it stops just at the knowledge of a few things or facts about who Jesus is. Do you want to have extraordinary faith? Do you want to grow closer to Jesus? Then we can't stop at just the facts. We have to understand that that would rob us from knowing Jesus, rob us from what he wants to give us in life. That's a power to live our everyday life. He promises to be with us. He promises to let us walk in forgiveness each and every day when sometimes we mess up. That's great news. He promises to give us peace in the midst of storms. So when we have this fake relationship effect, when we just think that knowing about Jesus is enough, it can rob us from walking in extraordinary faith. So where are you at today? Where are you at today? Is Jesus, when you think about who is Jesus, is he just someone that you know a lot of facts about? Or is he someone that you know and Jesus knows you because you've spent time with them? Because you've opened up the scripture and you've tried to find out more about who he is and what he wants for your life. Because when you know who Jesus is, you know that he wants to walk with you every day. You know that he doesn't want you to stay where you're at because he has something more, he says, abundant for you. Here's the great news. He doesn't want us to try to polish up, airbrush our life, try to get perfect, stop cussing or stop doing bad things before we know him. He wants us to come as we are and to know him for who he is. And that's where life change begins. So my prayer for you today is that you stop worrying about trying to be perfect. Stop worrying about maybe just knowing more about Jesus and the facts about him. They're important. You need to know the right facts. But my hope for you is that you will go to him right where you're at, broken, just like myself, weak. And when we come to Jesus, guess what? He starts to change us from the inside out. He builds us back up. He gives us a new life. He gives us an extraordinary life. And that is my prayer for you today. So as we wrap up today, let me pray for you. Jesus, thank you so much for coming for us. Man, I pray that anybody listening to this stream will understand this, is that you don't want us to come to you thinking that we have to clean ourselves, perfect ourselves first before we come to you. No, that's not it at all. You want us to come to you just as we are, because you're the one who has the power to forgive, to save, to restore, to renew. So Jesus, I pray for anybody listening as we move into online groups in just a minute, that they'll have a great discussion and that they'll have a discussion with you today, and they'll come to you and say, this is all you need to tell Jesus. Jesus, here I am. I'm not perfect. I'm not broken, but I believe you are the Messiah. You're the Son of God. You have the absolute power to transform my life. You came back to life. You overcame death for me. So Jesus, I know that you can change my heart from the inside out. So will you do that, Jesus? I put my faith fully in you. I confess my sins to you. Jesus, change me from the inside out. I want to walk in an extraordinary life. I want to walk in abundant faith. And I want to walk in your power each and every day, Jesus. So I want to know you. I want to talk to you. I want to pray to you. I want to remember you during my day. I don't want to forget about you until the next live stream or the next time somebody brings it up. God, I want to walk with you each and every day. So Jesus, thank you so much for loving me and coming to change my life from the inside out. So Jesus, I want to know you more. That's our prayer today. In Jesus' name, amen.
Wow, what an incredible message by Pastor Peter. I am so thankful for what he shared tonight. You know what? Service is not over yet. We still have small groups, so if you are not in a small group yet, go ahead and click on the link in the comments box. We'll get you connected to a small group, and we will see you guys next week for week 3 of Who is Jesus.